What's up, guys? It's your boy Josh Showtime, along with my man's 100 grand, Josh Valles, and this is Showtime Fight Forum, where we talk all things fights. Now, first I want to apologize. It's on me while we're shooting this and posting this super late. Fight happened over a week ago. The reason why, I was on vacation. I was gone for 10 days on a baby moon, me and my wife, and had an amazing time. No regrets. But yet and still, we got to give you what you want, okay? But first things first. Make sure you like, subscribe, and comment, share, all that good stuff. Let's blow this thing up. Josh, how have you been, brother?
I've been great. Thanks for asking, Showtime. Good to have you back here, and just overall been living good. These back to back weekends, we've had some really good fights, and just great life here in Miami, I must say.
Of
Praise
course.
God for that.
Yeah, of course. Well, I was in LA and Hawaii, so you know what's crazy? It was actually really cold in LA. Like it was warmer here in Indiana than it was in LA. LA was like 68 degrees, and Indiana was like 80. So, but yet still with the Cali weather, it kind of was weird. So when the sun was out, it felt really, really good. Hawaii was 80s the entire time, a little on and off rain, but it was absolutely beautiful. Check my social medias because I did some crazy stuff. It was really fun. If you want, but yet and still, we have a mega fight that we need to talk about, which I think over delivered, which is the Alexander Usyk versus Tyson Fury, finally getting an undisputed heavyweight champion, first one in the four belt era, first one in I believe 20 years. It was everything that you really wanted in the boxing match. And first things first, let me tell you what happened with my situation. I must have got bad intel on the time of the fight. I already had it planned that me and my wife was going to go to a sports bar and I was going to watch it there, and then I was going to text you throughout. For some odd reason, I thought the fight was going to happen 8 o'clock Cali time. So West Coast time, I thought it was going to happen 8 o'clock West Coast time, which goes around about the time that we normally have our fights in East Coast, which is 11 o'clock. So I thought that was the time we were going to get. I knew the fight was not in America. I knew it was a Saudi fight, but I thought I read that. So I I was on a Hollywood celebrity home tour on a bus with my wife, looking at celebrities' houses and stuff like that. And I remember being on my phone because it was like a little chill time for a second. And I looked at my phone and I saw a tweet that was like, "Oh, I have Tyson Fury up 3-0." I'm like, "Tyson Fury up 3-0? Hold on. It's 5 o'clock. What you mean, Tyson Fury?" I was like, "Hold on, the fight ain't happening right now." So now I went on the link, not the link, but the hashtag, and then I see everybody scoring the fight. I'm like, the fight's happening right now. So it already was like 4 or 5 rounds in, and I missed 5. I missed 4 or 5 rounds, and I went on my phone, and so I'm like looking at Slayer. Oh, there go Bruno Mars' house, and I'm like on my phone just trying to watch the fight, and I'm like, "Oh, yay. Okay, cool." Then next thing I know, it's like, "Oh, that's where The Rock lives." And I'm like, "Oh, okay, I don't really care right now." And then I had to watch the fight through my phone. Eventually, when I got home, I watched the fight in its entirety. And I was able to actually score it, so I could tell you my score eventually. But first things first, you actually saw the fight. You was at home chilling. What did you think of the fight, and how did you score it?
Me personally, what did I think of the fight? I thought it was a brilliant fight, action packed all throughout. Had a little bit of everything. Me personally, I did have Usyk winning the fight. I do not think the ninth round was the round that sealed it for me. I do think even without the ninth round, just overall when you look at the fight, he really took it to Tyson Fury on that back second half of the fight. So great night of boxing or day, wherever it was, wherever you watched it, whatever time frame. Great fight. I would love to see the rematch. I know Tyson Fury has already triggered his rematch clause. I do think that overall, though, even though Tyson Fury did come out very strong, he left his game plan. And towards the end of the fight, when he could have really closed it and maybe took some rounds away from Usyk, he gave those rounds to Usyk, which then, in the end, cost him the fight.
Yeah, so I agree with you as far as who you had winning. I agree. Tyson Fury did not win that fight. The best he could have looked for was a draw, but I scored it 115, 112 for Usyk. That the countdown definitely mattered. So I mean, there were so many different close rounds. I mean, so yet and still, obviously we know once he got hurt, He had to take some rounds off because that fight very well could have been stopped. I want to know what you think. First of all, do you think that fight should have been stopped in that round? Was it round 9 where he got dropped? So, what do you think about that? Because I know I heard a lot of hums about it.
I personally would say that I don't agree with those that say that it. How can I say this? I'm not mad. I wouldn't have been mad if they stopped it, but I'm not mad that they allowed Tyson Fury to continue after all the times that we have seen Tyson Fury come back after being knocked down. So, do I think that it could have been stopped? 100%. Would I have been mad that it was stopped? No, not at all. But am I glad that they were able to continue? Yes. As so long that Tyson was healthy afterwards, and given his post-fight interview, seems as if he was.
It's weird, man. Like, I hate that I have to agree with you, but yes, you're 100% right too. I wouldn't have been angry because he was clearly knocked out on his feet. It was obvious. And I've seen plenty of refs stop fights where a guy's just taking unadulterated punishment standing and they don't defend themselves. Tyson was not defending himself. He was stumbling on his feet. The ropes and the corner has saved him probably falling probably 3 times in that short 20 seconds. So realistically, I wouldn't have been angry, but at the same time, I'm not mad. Ref, do your job. Let the fight happen. Once again, know who's fighting. Like you said, Tyson Fury takes punishment, and for some odd reason, he comes back the next round and he looks fine. And he did that the next round. His legs were under him a little bit more. He was able to chill. Usyk seemed like he was maybe tired or something because he kind of let off on the gas a little bit on that next round. But at the end of the day, man, like that is what we're here to see. We're here to see warriors fight. It sucks to say, but this is a dangerous sport. So I understand you want to help these guys out, but this is for the undisputed championship. And I do believe you should ref differently in championship bouts. People want to disagree. I don't really care. That's my personal opinion. It's a championship fight. You don't leave that to chance. Let these dudes duke it out. Unless he slept, keep them there. Or if unless he slept or he's genuinely just taking way too many punches to the face and he's not defending himself. He took a lot, but obviously, he can bounce back. I will say though, throughout that onslaught, I was surprised. Maybe you can share the same sentiment. I thought it was weird that Tyson didn't just go down. Like, why was he? I was in my head thinking, why is he so stubborn to stay on his feet? This is Tyson Fury, who gets dropped often. Like, this isn't the first time he's been dropped. He's been dropped maybe 5 times in his career. Like, he's been dropped so many times. You can get back up. As a veteran, as a person who's been dropped before, that sometimes it's just better to get yourself together. Take a knee, take that 8 9 seconds, get back up, and then fight. What did you think?
I thought it was more of a pride thing. To your
Exactly.
point, to your point, yes, I do think he should have went down a lot sooner than he was forced to by the onslaught of Usyk. In my humble opinion, though, this is a Tyson Fury that was talking a lot about Usyk's size.
Yes, exactly.
Not
Yeah.
only from a height standpoint, but from also a cruiserweight standpoint. So
Yep.
this is essentially Tyson Fury saying, I got knocked down by an MMA fighter. Granted, he was a heavyweight, and it's Francis, but he's an MMA fighter. Now here I am on skates against a guy who I've been loving for almost 2 years now on his sides and his weight.
Pipsqueak.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I think it came down to a pride thing until he couldn't stand anymore again against his own will.
I was gonna say that same exact thing. It's funny because I was like, the only thing I could think of is he just has a big ego. He was talking so much trash, and no, he always talks trash, which is fine. But he literally belittled this man on his size the entire time. You can't reach me. You're too short. You're a pipsqueak. All this extra nonsense. You can't hurt me. And he did. He did. Probably hurt you more than Deontay did. And like it's really bad because one thing is once Fury got hurt by Deontay, he literally got up and he was okay. And outside of the third fight when he got hit, and then he got dropped again. But yet and still, like he was bad. And this is not a person who has generational power like a Deontay Wilder. And we got to remember, even you brought up Francis. Francis is known to have generational power too. That was what everybody said. He punches harder than anybody we ever seen. You get dropped by him. Okay, well we know he's a power puncher possibly. Usyk is not a power puncher. That's not what he's known for. He's not known to knock folks out. Like that's not his thing. And but here's the thing, and I brought this up last week, and I said this. This is why I also could see I'm not Francis, but Usyk winning, which was these are big guys. Like you can sit here and do these pipsqueak and this, that, and third. Like he's calling a guy that's like 225, 230 a pipsqueak, guys. That's a lot of power still coming at you. It's still a lot of power. These guys can still get knocked. There's a reason why there is a weight limit of 200 plus pounds, and these guys can fight with a 50-pound difference. It's because at 230, you can still knock out a man that's 260. Like, is it that much of a difference? Possibly, but a chin can only take so much. A chin cannot take a 230-pound man who's been training all his life to punch people to the face clean. You just can't.
Yeah, I mean, and it's funny that you say that too, because again, we're talking about heavyweights and cruiserweights here. So, all in all, I think Tyson Fury did himself a disservice, though, by obviously the pride fighting here. So, look, he lucked out that he did not get stopped. Let's just
100%.
call it what it is.
Yes.
So, regardless of what we think or, why he stood up, why he didn't go down, it was a bad move for him. It cost him the later rounds. I think he was thinking that he had the early rounds and also the middle rounds, but he didn't. And it allowed him to kind of lay off the gas pedal the last 2 rounds, which in all honesty, that 9th round really should have been the ticker for him to say, I need to pick it up and close these next 2 rounds to leave no doubt in the referee's minds, in the judge's minds, which we saw what happened.
Exactly. And here's another thing, too, about taking the foot off the gas pedal. I kind of thought that around the 6th round, maybe, that he thought that he had Usyk figured out. And that because the first couple rounds were close, but I gave to Usyk. Eventually, Fury started getting on a roll. Started to hold a little bit, started to land a little clean. And then there was one phase where he actually hurt him. And I was like, okay, he's hurting him to the body. He's starting to have a little bit more fun. He's getting confidence. And then he lost it. I thought he played with his food a little too much towards the middle of the fight, and he gave an elite fighter confidence. And then once he adjusted, it was a wrap for Tyson, and Tyson started to struggle, and he couldn't get back in the rhythm and the groove of what he wanted to do. And like I think you mentioned this early, which is that he strayed away from what he normally does. And I felt that too for a guy who's very, very good when it comes to his IQ in the ring, especially when he was in shape. This was a good version of Tyson. This was not what we saw in Francis. This was a very solid version of Tyson Fury. So we can't use this, he didn't really train. Is that he looked fine. It's just Usyk was able to adjust. He let him back in, and he lost.
Yeah, I mean, it was a tale of 2 fights. I really was impressed with the way that Tyson Fury was boxing. He was moving. I feel like even at times when Usyk was trying to pick up his pace in those early rounds, Tyson Fury was neutralizing all of that.
Yep.
Towards the middle rounds, we got kind of what we really wanted to see, that back and forth exchange between both fighters. You could say in those middle rounds, which is why the scorecards were so close towards the end, it could have been either or, right? It could have been Tyson Fury. It could have been an Usyk fight, depending on how you scored it. But towards that 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th round, you just got to give it a Usyk. It was a bad game plan by Tyson Fury and his corner to lay off the gas pedal and to think that they had this fight in any way, shape, or form in the bag, especially after the 9th round. So, love to see it again. I thought it was a good fight, even though Tyson Fury took off a couple rounds towards the end, which was a terrible idea.
You think so? I thought he took fights like from 10 to not 10 to 11. I thought 10 and 11 he took off. I actually had him winning 12.
Fair assessment. Me personally, I say he didn't win 12 because he had his hands behind his back. And really just kind of showing Usyk, hey, you know, the fight is won by me, but I didn't think that he warranted any showboating.
Oh no, no,
So with the showboating in the 12th, it was, in my humble opinion, a waste of his time when he really could have just been picking it up. And who knows what the judges were seeing in that 12th round when he was doing that. So I think that when they run it back, we did see a really good Tyson Fury. So I really did appreciate that aspect. But I think the next time around, we're going to see a really, really locked in Tyson Fury from round 1 to 12.
100%.
And and I think Usyk did deserve to win this first fight
I
based
agree.
off the fact that whether he was winning or not in the first half, he stuck to his game plan and weathered the storm, almost got a stoppage, and even after didn't really take off the gas pedal the way that Tyson Fury did. So in my humble opinion, Usyk won this fight. Tyson Fury will come back for a second fight. It's going to be more competitive. Excited to see it later this year.
Yeah, so I was gonna ask you basically what adjustments do you think he needs to make in the next fight, but we can talk about that obviously when it's closer. The fight's supposed to be in October, birthday month, so we're gonna see how that goes. But yet and still, uh, outside of like predictions or how we feel about Tyson, this is Tyson's first loss ever, and then I want to move the conversation to the champion because this is what we need to talk about more. And Alexander Usyk, who has been slept on for years now. We got to remember, people were saying he's not going to do well at heavyweight because he's too small. All right, he's shut down everybody. Shut up everybody. Look who the O's and look who's the names he's taking right now. Okay, we're literally talking about one of the greatest boxers we've seen. We talk about one of the greatest, who possibly pound for pound best boxers right now. But we also got to look at all time status. Like realistically, we have to because Tyson Fury, we all was assuming was the best of this generation. We were saying he can beat some of the top 10 best heavyweights that ever existed, and he just lost to a guy who's never been beaten as well, and who are guys realistically around the same size as Muhammad Ali, which I kind of love because it kind of shows everybody who wants to crap on prior generations on size, saying, well, the heavyweights back then weren't as big because they weren't. There weren't that many heavyweights that were 6'8", and if they were, they weren't that good. They weren't that technical. They weren't that skilled. This fight showed that the Joe Lewises, that the Muhammad Ali's will still be all-time greats even in this generation because size matters, but it ain't everything. Skills is what win matches, and we saw that with Alexander Usyk. We have to start putting him in the top 10, top 15 heavyweights of all. We have to. He's just too good.
Yeah, I think we do have to as well because to you, like you just said, his resume in the pro ranks alone speaks for itself. And then you couple that with the fact that we're talking about an Olympic gold medalist. So even in the amateur ranks, he reached the highest pinnacle of all pinnacles in all of amateur boxing, which is that Olympic gold medal. So now he's at disputed ranks in heavyweight. Yes, we have to start putting him in that all-time top 15 ranks. And he's definitely, without no question, the number one heavyweight in the world. Whether you think he's a cruiserweight like Tyson Fury or not, he has dethroned the Gypsy King, and he is now the number one heavyweight in the world. Anthony Joshua has not beaten Usyk, so why should we even consider him in that same breath as Usyk? Usyk is in a league reign of his own. He is at the top of the throne, and excited to see where his career takes off, even though it's going to be with a rematch with Tyson Fury next.
And realistically, we don't know how much we're gonna get at Usyk anyways. Like realistically, the next fight could be his last fight. Who knows? He could fight for another couple years, or maybe try to get a Deontay Wilder fight or Jared Anderson. But who knows what's next necessarily for Usyk? But he's gonna keep stacking up these W's because if he does get through Fury again, there's no heavyweight right now that's gonna beat him. I think that's his only chance. He fights Deontay Wilder, he's gonna knock Deontay Wilder out. If he fights Wang, he's gonna knock Wang out. If he fights Jared Anderson right now, Jared Anderson's gonna get schooled. He gets punched too easily for me. It's just Usyk is such an anomaly, like such an anomaly, and it's crazy because we gotta remember people were calling him the best cruiserweight of all time between him and Evander Holyfield. They were saying if he's not one, he's two. And Evander obviously has a stacked resume. We already know the wars that he had to go through, the guys, the bodies. The 90s was crazy for a heavyweight division. But oh my gosh, man. What Usyk's doing right now is just it's just so crazy to me. Like I can't believe that we're seeing him dominate. Like, how are you hurting Tyson Fury? How are you also hurting Anthony Joshua? Some people don't want to rank Anthony Joshua as this being this good of a boxer, but we got to also remember talking about a Olympic medalist as well. We're also talking about a guy who just clowned Francis, who everybody thought was going to be competitive, and he said, "No, brother. Like I'm actually a good boxer. Y'all want to disrespect me because I lost to really good boxers." But at the end of the day, like the Ruiz fight, we saw what happened when we fought again. I went against Usyk, but we saw what Usyk just did to Tyson Fury. Like we gotta start putting some more respect on Anthony Joshua because he's been disrespected for years now, and I've really been getting annoyed by it. But yet and still, this is about Alexander, and I right now, and I could be riding off the high off this win, but he's in my top 10 heavyweights of all time. He's in the back half. I'm not saying he's top 5, but he's in my back half.
Usyk or Anthony Joshua?
Usyk.
Oh yeah, I think that is a totally fair assessment. I think he deserves it. It's warranted. So far, he hasn't proved us otherwise.
What else do we have to go off of? The man hasn't lost, and his resume is crazy.
Yeah. So and he just keeps winning, and the fights that he needed to win to prove his legacy status, he's won. Right. So he beat the Anthony Joshuas of the world. He just beat Fury. So we're talking about a fighter, once in a lifetime generation fighter, who he's winning his legacy fights. So as we say in boxing, you either care about money or you care about legacy, and Usyk is cashing out at both.
Yeah, and I've always said this before. If you have legacy, money comes. If you have a great legacy, you will get paid in boxing. That's just a fact. Like you only have a legacy if you either made big fights, won big fights, or have a big name. Those all follow money. Like that, you get money from that. So, but yet and still, and the last thing I'll say as far as this Usyk thing is that is the fact that we're watching all-time great fighter is we are getting so many great fights because we're finally getting the best fighting the best. I think we've talked about this before where we said it might be the social media era where everybody's calling each other out and you don't want to be made to be ducking, and you kind of can prove that now more than you could beforehand. And it's just everybody wanting to fight everybody, and everybody wants to be undisputed. And it's just getting us these stories to be able to say these guys are all time great. Like we're seeing the Terrence Crawfords, we're seeing the Usyks, we're seeing these guys literally paint themselves and say, "I'm a top 50 fighter ever. I'm one of the greatest welterweights ever. I'm one of the greatest heavyweights ever." And we're seeing this, and I am just super happy about it. This is great for the sport of boxing. We love this for boxing. And right now, I have to ask you because we have a lot of contenders. Who is your number one pound for pound fighter?
I have to give it to Usyk. Then I'm going to go Terrence Crawford. Then I'm just going, even though I don't want to, I have to give it to Inoue.
I knew he was going to be like.
I do not want to give it to that man, but I do have to admit he is a top 10 fighter, pound for pound. I'm just not a big fan of how he's always fighting in Japan. I understand. I'm not trying to rhyme, but I understand that's his thing there. That's his country, and he gets a lot more money there too. But I also think his advantage is way more overwhelming and does play a factor. However, still a heck of a fighter. We'll give him top 3. But based off what I saw over the weekend, based what I saw from just Usyk's just overall resume, this is the pound for pound best fighter. We all know being the heavyweight champion of the world is the greatest achievement you can have in sports. And Usyk has that right now. And it wasn't like he did this shockingly. This was, yes, shockingly a little bit, but we're also talking about
how he did it. I don't think any of us expected him to hurt him like that.
Right. So here we are today, undisputed heavyweight champion of the world, gold medalist, and he's undefeated. You got to give it to him.
I have anyway 3 as well. I have still Crawford 1A. and then I got Usyk 1B. The only reason why, this is the only reason why, is because the way he beat Errol Spence. I just I had Errol Spence so high on my rankings. I thought Errol would win, and the fact that he just dummied my guy so bad, I just I can't. I have to put him A. I value him a little higher than I do Tyson Fury because Errol does come to fight. He's always prepared, and you just don't know what you're going to get with Fury sometimes. And I know Usyk literally defined pound for pound by giving up size, height and reach and all that, and weight, and still dummied him. I get it. So I'm not mad at anybody having Usyk 1. If you do, cool. I still got Crawford 1A, but Usyk is 1B. Like even Crawford came out and said, "Hey, if you have him number 1, I get it." Like even he tweeted that because at the end of the day, what he did was special, and we cannot disrespect that. There's no way you can shake it. Usyk is special. Usyk is different. We're talking about some all-time great boxers here, so either way you have it, I get it. But I think anyway is 3, and we're talking about once again 2 guys who are 2 divisional undisputed champions. And I think in the 4 belt era, I'm not sure how many people have done that. I don't think it's too many. I think it's probably like maybe like 4 or 5. It's not a lot.
Yeah, I mean, we are in a historic era. Like the era that we're in right now with boxing, what's being achieved by different boxers, and just overall the historic milestones that we're reaching. It seems like every fight we have something new that no fighter has done in quite some time or ever. So yeah, we're definitely in a historic era right now. Hopefully it continues, right? But I think your top 3 is fair. I don't blame anyone for having one of the baddest names in the world, Terrence Crawford, at number 1. No one has dethroned him. Has been undisputed outright. So
And finished his last 8 or 9 guys like
right. So and the reason why I love Bud as well is because he's another one that time and time and time again they say, oh, it's this fighter that's going to get him this time. And then he beats him, and then they make up an excuse as to why he beat that fighter. There's always something with Terrence Crawford. So he has that chip on his shoulder where, he's not really out to prove anybody, but he's just constantly proving people wrong. There's not really a following behind him as there would be for some other fighters that are on that same exact list. But Bud is a great fighter and definitely worthy of being number 1. So great list.
Absolutely, man. So obviously this episode was a little long, but hey, look, this was a big historic fight. We're gonna go long when we talk about big fights, so it is what it is. Hopefully you guys watched it. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. We're gonna be back with more content. We got some stuff on the way. We've been brainstorming. We're gonna make this thing a little bit more organized and a little bit more professional, and it's gonna be fun. Thank you guys for everybody who's been tuning in, who's been sticking with us. And by the time that we do grow, we will pay. Look, we gonna remember you guys, so we do appreciate it. Continue to like, comment, and subscribe, and share us, man. Let people know, man. We're trying to make this thing grow. So, thank you guys. Make sure you have a blessed week. Josh, you have anything?
I think you said it best. Just keep on tuning in. We got a lot of great things on the way.
All right. Thank you guys, man. Make sure you have a blessed week. We see y'all. We out.